tips and tricks to succeed on tomorrow's math test. So let's take this particular number and just kind of break it apart. I'm going to try and teach you just a few ways that you can use to help you take a big thing like reading and writing a number and break it down into smaller pieces just to make it a little easier. First, we're going to start talking about place value. Place value is really the basis of reading and writing all numbers. It's important to know which place value is where. And you can see that the 3 digit in this particular number is in the ones place. There are 0 tens in the tens place. There are 2 hundreds in the hundreds place. Then we move over and you can see that there's a repeating pattern for each period or section of 3 digits. The pattern continues ones, tens, hundreds. So let's take a look. You have 1 thousands, 10 thousands, and 100 thousands. And I wrote thousands in red, and I also highlighted the comma in red because this comma right here actually says the word thousand when you're reading the number. All right? When we go to the next period, we still have the same pattern. 1, 10, 100, 1, 10, 100, 1, 10, 100. In this particular case, we have millions. And again, I've highlighted the comma to show that the comma says the word millions. Okay? So that's just a basic, quick, how you can sort of break apart place value a little bit. There's the pattern, ones, tens, hundreds, and then each comma just adds a new word after each place value. So instead of just ones, tens, hundreds, after we get a little further and a little larger number, it's 1,000s, 10,000s, 100,000s, and the next period, 1 millions, 10 millions, 100 millions. So this is just a quick little tip in terms of reading a number. I have this black bar here, you can see right here, and I have that there to cover up some of the number because sometimes it's easier to read numbers when you break them apart a little bit. Okay, so if you can read a number, you should be able to write the number. And this black box is going to help to read numbers. So what I've done is I've covered up the whole number all the way to the largest period, including the comma. And then I look at what's left and I read it. When I look at that number, it reads 654. So I'm going to go ahead and type that. Okay, now I'm going to uncover a little bit more of the number. There's a comma there. Now I want to look at the rest of the number. I see that there's a comma right here and a comma right here. Okay? And I know that when I'm going this way, this is going to be the TH or the thousands comma. Keep going. The next comma or the next period is the millions comma. Okay? So I know that this comma says the word million. So I'm going to go back to my word form. Okay? Now I'm going to clean up my work here a little bit. Jump back into the number. I'm going to cover up the rest of the number, and right now I'm just focusing on this part of the number. When I read that period, it reads 567. So I'll put a comma after million and write 567. Uncover a little bit more of the number and I find the other comma. And I can remember that the first comma reading from right to left says 1,000. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to my word form. Comma. And then I'm left reading the rest of the number. And if I want to, I can just cover up everything I've already done. Maybe clean up my work a little bit here. And this particular chunk or period of the number is all that's left. And when I read that, it reads 203. So I will add that to my word form. Okay? So that is reading and writing a number from standard form to word form. Okay. The next form I'd like to tackle is expanded form. And let's go ahead and dive right into that. Okay. When I'm doing expanded form, what I like to do is just take a look at the first digit. Okay, the first digit, or the largest digit. I shouldn't say the first reading from left to right. Okay, so I'm going to look at the largest digit, and it's a 6. So I'll go ahead and write my 6. And then what I'm going to do is count how many places are to the right of the 6. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 places to the right of the 6. So I'm going to jump back in here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Put my 8 zeros down. Okay? Then, starting from the right, I will count over 1, 2, 3 zeros. I need a comma because every 3 digits from the right to left requires a comma to say to create the proper number. Then I'll count over 3 more zeros. 1, 2, 3, and I need a comma. Okay? Plus 5, and there are 7 zeros after the 5. 1, 2, 3, comma. 1, 2, 3, comma. Get my plus sign in there. 4 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. 2, 3, comma. 1, 2, 3, comma. A 5, and the pattern just continues. 5 zeros. And 1, 2, 3, comma. 6 with 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, comma. Next digit. 7 with 3 zeros. Go back 3, put my comma. Then we've got a 2 with 2 zeros. Plus, there's nothing in the tens place, and I do not have to write that in expanded form at all. I can just skip right over that. Just go right to the ones place, mark down my 3, and we're good to go. So that's going to be expanded form. Okay. Then I'm going to show you how to write this in short word form. Short word's kind of a quick and easy one. I'll go ahead and write that in red just to differentiate it. Okay. First, you know what? I'm going to get a clean page too. Oops. Let me just clean up the page here a second. All right. Let's go to short word form. Okay, so real quick, for short word form, I'm just going to grab this period, which is 654. It's sort of a section of the number between commas, and I'm going to go ahead and just retype that. 654. Next thing I do is ask myself, okay, here's a comma. What word does that say? Okay, well, it says million because it's the second comma from the right. Put a comma, then I go ahead and grab this chunk, 567, and all I do is rewrite that after the comma, 567. Then got another comma right here, and I know that that says the word 1,000 because that's the place value I'm dealing with, and it's the first comma from right to left. Comma, and then the last thing that I need to write is just the number 203.
Oh, brother.
And that comes from this chunk right here. So there's writing your number in short word form. All right. Another type of question you might see tomorrow is, in what place value is the underlined digit and what is its value? If you go back to the beginning of this video, you'll remember that I labeled all the place values. So if I want to find the underlined digit, first of all, This is the one that's underlined. So I'm just going to start on the right and just count my place value over by using that whole pattern of ones, tens, hundreds. So let's see how that looks. You've got ones, tens, hundreds, 1,000s, 10,000s, 100,000s. So my 5 is in the 100,000s place. So this right here is how you would write your answer. Now, what about its value? Well, to find the number's value or the digit's value, you just pull the digit out of the number. You just pull it straight down. And then you say, okay, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros to the right of it. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite all those zeros. There were 5 of them. Okay, put my comma in, and the value of the number is 500,000. So this right here is how you should write your answer when you're talking about the value of a digit. Now let's take a look at that other type of problem, that logic and using a chart to organize information. So here it is. Megan, Ryan, and Jesse each own either a bike, a scooter, or a van. Megan does not own a vehicle with exactly 2 wheels. Jesse owns the scooter. What vehicle does each person own? Now when you just try to think about this in your head, it can be a lot. There's a lot of information here. That's why we're learning how to put the information in a chart. So I've set up my chart. I've got 3 different people, Megan, Ryan, and Jesse. And I know that they own either a bike, a scooter, or a van. Now I'm going to go back to my information and pick out some important information here. Pick out sort of what do I know and what do I don't know. Well, I know that Megan does not own a vehicle with exactly 2 wheels. Okay? So what I can do based on that information is make some marks on my chart. A bike has 2 wheels, so Megan cannot own a bike. A scooter also has 2 wheels, so Megan cannot own a scooter, which means that Megan must own a van. Megan owns the van. Now let's go back to our problem. Jesse owns the scooter. Okay, that's helpful. Just telling me exactly what Jesse owns. So I can go ahead and say that Jesse definitely owns the scooter, which means that Ryan cannot own the scooter. Ryan can also not own the van because Megan owns it. Since Ryan cannot own the scooter or the van, he has to own the bike. So, when you have this chart completely filled in, you know exactly who owns which item. Ryan owns the bike. Megan owns the van. And Jesse owns the scooter. And you should really write your answer down in that manner. Don't just leave it as a chart. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly what that would look like. Okay. So you're going to want to write it. Let me clean up my page. Oops, I don't really want to do all that though. Okay, let me shrink a couple things here. And then I'll give myself some room to write it. Okay, so you're going to want to go ahead and write out the answer. Megan owns the van. Ryan owns the bike. And Jesse owns the scooter. All right, there you go. Good luck on the test tomorrow.